Yo, what is going on, Show Nation? My name is Cbrev. Welcome to the video. If you guys don't know who I am a multi-World Series player. In MLB 17, I made it every season, and in MLB 18, I made it here and there, mostly because I didn't play as much. But I have topped out at 1,104 rating as my best season before, and I just tell you that ahead of time so that you know that these tips are coming from the heart from someone who's played at some of the highest levels on this game. So if you enjoy the video, I encourage you to like it and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also check me out on twitch.tv/Cbrev. And with that, we're going to get into 5 tips to becoming a better hitter in MLB The Show 19. I also did want to apologize for the background footage. It's just me playing March to October on Legend. Finding individual clips for every single thing that I'm going to be talking about in this video would just take too long, and I want to try to get this video up as soon as I can. So hopefully you can at least see some good clips from what I have from the March to October, but mostly just listen in for the tips so that you can apply them to your own gameplay. One more thing to note as well is that 4 out of the 5 of these tips do not involve mechanical plays. They are all strategy and things you can take care of ahead of time. A lot of people think being good at hitting is just putting the bat on the ball, which is true at times, but these tips are going to help you even if you aren't the best mechanically, because I definitely am not. Alright, so tip number 0, I would never include this as one of the 5 tips, because I would never say that to get better on this game you need to spend money outside the game. But it is worth mentioning that if you can get a computer monitor to play the game on, it's going to make a world of difference for you. Computer monitors have much lower response times than regular TVs, and this is going to give you more milliseconds to react to pitches as they come in as a hitter. So pretty much all the best players play on a computer monitor. That's the only way you're going to play at the highest level. But I'm not going to include it as one of the 5 main tips because it's not really a tip. It's just something to keep in mind. So tip number 1 is going to be something that you've probably heard a lot elsewhere or at least seen from streamers or whatever, and that's going to be that you're going to have to hit using zone hitting. Zone hitting is far and away the best way to hit on MLB The Show and has been for years. The reason zone hitting is the best is because it lets you place the barrel of the bat exactly where you want to, and therefore gives you the best odds of having user input translate to good hits. So if you're manually able to put the barrel on the ball, that's going to have you having a better chance of putting the ball in play somewhere hard. So zone hitting is an absolute must. Like I said, I'm sure most of you guys know this already. And then secondly is going to be your camera choice. So I prefer strike zone camera. The community of really good players mostly prefer zoomed in camera slots. But I'm not going to tell you guys any specific camera to use. I personally use strike zone. I personally use wedge for my reticle for zone. But I'm not saying that's going to be the best thing for you. So just find a camera angle that you like, that helps you see balls and strikes, and more importantly, it helps you make micro movements to put the barrel on the ball as best as you can every single time you're at the plate. Tip number 2 is actually something I don't see a lot of from almost anyone, and I'm really surprised because I think it's a huge deal for my personal growth. And so this tip is going to be to pitch with the same camera angle or camera slot that you hit with. So if you plan on hitting with strike zone like I do, that means I'm pitching on strike zone as well. And the reason is subconsciously you're going to be able to see twice as many pitches from your hitting angle. So while you're pitching, you're seeing sliders, changeup, fastballs coming in all over the plate. Even though you're the one throwing the pitches, your brain is still getting more reps as to seeing these pitches come to the plate from that camera angle. So I can't stress enough how big of a tip this is. I'm really surprised at how many people, especially good ones, don't follow this, because I think it's a huge deal for myself, like I said. But make sure you're pitching out of the same camera as you're hitting so that you can see twice as many pitches coming into the plate. So tip number 3 is a little more niche, but I think it's super important. And that is going to be to understand the inputs and the outputs of every swing that you take. And the goal here is going to be to stop guessing and start predicting. So I'm going to go through a couple things here in this category so you guys can kind of see what I'm trying to get at here. Every single time you take a swing as a hitter, there's a transfer of information between the pitcher and yourself. So let's say your opponent throws a fastball and you swing late on it. Well, your opponent now has the information that they threw a fastball and you swung late, and you now have the information as the hitter that your opponent threw a fastball in this count and that you swung late on it, most likely because you weren't prepared for it. And so there's constantly a game going on between the hitter and pitcher in this regard, where you're going to have to constantly make adjustments and keep track of your swings and what kind of information you're relaying to the pitcher with those swings. So let's take the same example. So let's say he throws you a fastball up and in and you swing late on it. Well, this is going to tell the opposing pitcher that you're going to be late on a fastball. So what you can anticipate is in a couple pitches or the next pitch or whenever you think he's going to go back to that well, you need to be sitting fastball and you need to be ready to turn on it, because your opponent is going to receive the information that that's a pitch he can rely on to get a bad swing out of you. Additionally, you can keep track of if you make outs in crucial situations. So let's say you're in the first inning, it's second and third with 2 outs, and you pop out swinging at a curveball, right? That's information that you need to keep track of in the game moving forward, because when you get into another crucial situation with runners in scoring position, or whatever the case may be, your opponent is most likely going to go back to throwing that curveball to you. So if you can anticipate these things, like I said, you can kind of start predicting things rather than guessing. Guessing the pitch ahead of time is one of the worst things you can do as a hitter, because half the time you're going to be wrong. That's how guessing works. So we want to be right more than half the time. So we're going to use this relay of information to kind of help us predict what pitches are going to be coming into us. Another thing in this regard is that taking a strike can also cause your opponent to maybe think that you don't like that pitch. So me personally, I don't like swinging at fastballs up and in early in the count, so I take them every time. What will happen sometimes is that my opponent who's pitching will think that I just don't like fastballs up and in, or that I just can't hit them. And so you can take advantage of this, once again, if they start going to the well too much, by picking a hitter, preferably with power, and sitting on a fastball up and in first pitch. So what you're doing essentially is trying to identify tendencies from your opponent's pitching style and comparing it to your hitting style. So like I said, if he throws you a fastball up and in a lot and you're taking it a lot because you don't like that pitch, because I personally don't, make sure you pick a key situation to maybe sit on that pitch and punish him for that misinformation. And then finally, for this category, it's really important mentally to stay objective with your swings. So what that means is that your swing results do not always reflect your swing performance. So what I'm trying to get at is don't get frustrated if you square up a fastball and you line out, because most of the time over the long run when you square up a fastball, you're not going to line out. So you should be happy about squaring up a fastball, not upset about lining out. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes you're going to take good swings and make outs. Sometimes you're going to make bad swings and get a hit. That's just kind of how it goes in baseball. And you just need to stay really objective with your mental state and ask yourself, did I have a good at bat or not? And that's going to help you stay in the game and make adjustments. Tip number 4 is going to be to change your approach based on the hitter or pitcher or game situation that you are currently in. This is a big deal. Most people that I know that struggle with hitting just go up to the plate hacking, not really having a plan. So if you can have a plan and adjust that plan over the course of the game, that's going to put you in better situations to put a good swing on the ball. So you need to always take into account the current situation and state of the game. So a couple examples I have for you guys. Number 1 is if you have that 87 Ricky Henderson at the plate, basically 99 speed, 99 stealing, but can't hit much. If you have a hitter like this, you need to be taking till 2 strikes every time. Even if they lay you one down the middle, the odds of you getting on swinging at that pitch are not good. So you need to understand that your guy's not up there to hit necessarily, he's up there to get on base. So if you can ever draw a walk with a 99 speed guy like that, you're looking at a triple or at least a double most of the time. And so swinging first pitch with a guy like that is not the best approach. Similarly, let's say you have runners on first and third with one out. In this situation, you absolutely cannot afford a double play, right? Because a double play will end the inning and you won't get that run in from third. Whereas if you'd have just hit a fly ball, you might have been able to tag up, get a run in, and then had another at bat after that. So that's the most common situation where you absolutely cannot afford to hit into a double play. And if you understand that as a hitter, then you can take away some pitches from swinging at some pitches given the situation. So if you absolutely cannot afford a double play, you should not be swinging at anything middle or down before you have 2 strikes. So I'll take the runner on first and third and 1 out example again. Your goal in that at bat is to elevate the ball to the outfield to get that runner home. So if you're swinging at anything that's not up before 2 strikes, I think that's a mistake. And you need to understand that as a hitter, what your goal is with every single at bat and how you're going to accomplish that goal. And then you can kind of start to eliminate some pitches that you can swing at early in counts. So it's okay to swing it early in counts. I'm not telling you guys to take till 2 strikes every time, but you need to understand what pitches you can and can't swing at given the current situation. And finally, tip number 5, the last tip of the video, is in regards to hitting with 2 strikes. So SDS actually added a practice tool in this year's game. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is something you can rely on. You can actually go in there, face someone like Max Scherzer, put it to a 3-2 count, and put it on legend. And then you can practice taking swings like that. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is something out there for you. But the main point I wanted to make about hitting with 2 strikes is understanding release points and, once again, pitches that you can and cannot swing at. So for an example, let's say you're in a 1-2 count against Chris Sale. Take a moment and think about what areas of the zone you might have to consider not swinging at inside the strike zone. So the answer is any of the 3 quadrants low. So in the long run, on average, your opponent is going to throw many more breaking balls in the dirt, sliders in the dirt with Chris Sale, and changeups than he is going to throw fastballs down in the zone in a 1-2 count. Most often, people are going to try to get you to chase rather than to buckle your knees and lock you up. So in a situation where you are 1-2 against Chris Sale, you need to understand that at all release points where you see the ball coming into the lower quadrant of the strike zone, you have to take that pitch. Because in the long run, most of the time, it's going to be a breaking ball in the dirt. And you'd be surprised how demoralizing it can be for a pitcher to throw a perfect breaking ball in the dirt with a 1-2 count and have the person not swing at it. So just by analyzing this ahead of time, you can understand kind of what you can and can't swing at with 2 strikes. With the Chris Sale 1-2 example again, let's say the release point shows that the ball is coming up and in. So most likely in a 2-strike count, a fastball up and in is going to be the preferred pitch over a slider inside or a changeup inside. And so in that situation, you need to understand that if the release point shows that the ball is coming to the up and in quadrant of the strike zone, then you need to be swinging, because most of the time in the long run, it's going to be a fastball up and in. I hope what I'm trying to say makes sense to you guys. If you strike out looking on a fastball low, or if you swing and miss at a slider inside in those 2 examples I just said, it doesn't mean you have the wrong approach. It just means you hit the variance in your decision making, because not 100% of the time you're going to be right, but you're trying to make your best guess to become a better 2-strike hitter, since you're already at a disadvantage having 2 strikes on you. So that's going to be it for the video. That was 5 tips to become a better hitter in MLB The Show 19. Once again, my name is Cbrev. I would really appreciate a subscribe to the YouTube channel, a like on the video, and obviously if you get the time to come check me out at Twitch at twitch.tv/Cbrev. But thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.